yeah, another Wednesday, another edition of Bears Over Beers, powered by Second City Gridiron. I am Ryan Drosty with my co-host, my good friend Brian Orenchuk. He's sporting the Brian Urlacher jersey this week, the Clark Griswold Chicago Bears script hat. I love it, Brian. How you doing tonight?
Doing well, man. Doing well. I got to say, these white jerseys, especially this one, I've had it for close to 30 years now. And gosh, I guess it's been 20, 25.
Close enough.
Ish, somewhere around there. And there are more stains on this than you can count. This is not one I wear in public much, but that's the type of game I think we're going to need to play this week. A dirty game, defensive battle with some guys stepping up, making big plays. You know, I'm reminded every time I see this one of Urlacher picking off Favre and taking it to the house.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think we're going to need that sort of momentous play from our defense this week against an explosive offense. So dusted it off, man. I've not worn it. And if you recall, our 2 games prior to the bye, I sported a jersey. Yeah. It was Walter both times, but it was away for the away game, home for the home game. So I'm rocking with the trend right now. We'll see how it pans out, but excited to be with you on Wednesday, man. Excited for this game. Obviously, we're going to have to wait a little bit extra. I'm kind of looking forward to no more prime time games after Monday. But, hey, last year they got us in prime time. It's time to exact some revenge in prime time. What do you think?
Yeah, man. This is the revenge game. No matter how much they want to downplay it in the media, we know in that locker room, come on, what's going on? They have to get – I don't want to call it a must-win. You know, they can lose this game and still have a good season. But if they go into Washington – Maryland and win, they're going to be feeling pretty damn good the way that game went last year. I mean, I just think for their psyche, this is a really important game, especially for Tyreek Stevenson. So, they're going to say, nah, it's just another game in the media. We're not thinking about that kind of stuff. Although Tyreek, he's been pretty outspoken about it.
Yeah.
But they want to go in there and get the win. And this is one of those games they circled, when that schedule came out for sure. So, no, man, I love the thought that goes into the wardrobe choices. I respect that. That's awesome. Keep that jersey thing going. keep it going. Hey, it's also been just a busy day in the Chicago sports world. I was telling you off air, man. I'm watching the Cubs. I don't know are you a Cubs fan? I don't know if we've ever talked about that.
Yeah, I'm not diehard, but I do watch and follow. I have been to a game at Wrigley, but I'm not as much into baseball now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm watching the game. It's tough because the way this series has unfolded, it's like, look, man, I don't want to say it, but Milwaukee looks like clearly the better team. The Cubs' best hitters are slumping at the wrong time.
Right.
But hey, they found a way to get this one out, squeak it out tonight by 1 run. They live to fight another day. And if they can get game 4, make this 2-2, anything can happen in that deciding game. So, we've seen them come back before in the playoffs being in a hole. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure that this team is quite what that team was back in 2016. In fact, I know they're not what that team was, but they could go on a run. Something could happen here. We'll see. I'm just happy to get another game of baseball. I did see them play twice this year. Took my family to a game back in May. Saw them beat the Reds. Went up to Minnesota. So I'm lose to the Twins with my wife and a bunch of friends. That wasn't as fun. So went 1-1 this year. But one more game tomorrow night for sure. And then we'll see what happens this weekend. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to Monday night. Looking forward to drinking a beer with you, Brian. What do you got tonight?
So I am sporting kind of off the theme of my jersey with the old school, kind of a grinded out game. It's another Sierra Nevada. This one is a Ruthless Rye IPA. Ruthless. And again, we're going to have to play a ruthless brand of ball this week to get it done. It's got to be a clean brand of ball. The Commanders have played pretty clean ball so far, and they've taken advantage of when their opponents do not do that. And so we need to play some clean ball, continue to win the turnover battle, but be ruthless throughout. It's going to be a physical game. They're going to try to run all over us, and we need to punch them in the mouth. So Ruthless Rye coming at you.
Love it. All right. Well, this one doesn't really have any connections to the game, although I'm pretty sure the first time I had this was at a bar in Chicago. So I'll show this one off or on the air. This is from, let's see, Old Nation Brewing, which is out of Williamston, Michigan. It is M43 Northeastern India Pale Ale. 6.8%. It's got a lot of different hops in this one. We got Amarillo, Citra, Simcoe. Citra is my favorite hop in an IPA, but I'm pretty sure I had this one. I think after 2019, I went to the Bears Vikings game at Soldier Field. My dad and I hit up a bar downtown afterwards. And I had this one on tap and really liked it. So they're getting this in Iowa now. I saw it on the shelf. Had fond memories of drinking after a Bears victory. So yeah, man, I love a little IPA. I know it's starting to finally get a little colder around here. It was 37 degrees this morning.
Ooh.
Which was nice, crisp fall air.
Yeah.
I like that. It's been a couple days ago, it was about 90 still, but now it's cooling down. We had a storm come through. I think it was Monday night. Now it's finally cooling down. So probably get into some darker beers as this show goes on this year. But right now, man, I am still on the IPA kick. So
yeah, I'm right there with you, bro.
Matching glasses. Look at that.
Matching glasses. Cheers.
Cheers. All right.
Yeah.
It's as good as I remember. Ruthless Rye, by the way, I've had that one. That is a solid beer. Nice choice. Good.
It's solid. It does have citrusy hops on the front. Got a little bit more of a peppery, bitter finish than I love. It's got an interesting flavor profile. See how dark it is? It's like an amber almost.
Yeah.
But,
man,
Ruthless.
You can tell this one's a Citra hop. It's got that orange juice look to it for sure. Right? So, yeah. All right. Let's talk a little Bears football. Guys, if you're joining us in the chat, by the way, let us know if you're drinking tonight and let us know your thoughts on the matchup with the Commies on Monday Night Football, and hit the like button. That'll help us out a lot here as we try to get this video ranking in the old ever powerful YouTube algorithm. All right. So, yeah, we got Jayden Daniels. He's been hurt a little bit with the knee sprain this year, but he came back last week against the Chargers. Had a chance to watch the game, and it was kind of an up and down game, just like his season has been this year. Started off slow. The Commanders got in a 10-0 hole, and then they rolled off 27 straight points. Ended up getting the win. And just watching the game, Jayden was inaccurate in the first half. But in the second half, they started to scheme up some more wide open receivers to him. He started to hit those passes, especially to Debo down the stretch, had some great throws to him, including a touchdown pass in the back right corner of the end zone. And, he was looking like the Jayden of last year by the end of the game. But, in the first half, maybe not so much. So, like I said, Brian, that's kind of been the theme this year is he hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been like otherworldly like he was last year, so how are you feeling about the matchup with Jayden Daniels on Monday night?
Yeah, one of the reasons this is such a big game is not just because of the revenge factor, right? They went on to make the playoffs and then went on a deep run in the playoffs. So this is a contender within our conference.
Yeah, that's
a big deal for playoff implications, seeding, and all that stuff. So there's a lot on the line this week. They're also obviously 3-2. They got one more win than we do thus far. They've got some talent on both sides of the ball. They started adding pieces. If you remember, Von Miller, Debo was another one where they're ready to win now. That's what that tells you, and you could tell. So they definitely pose a challenge. But watching that game last week, the Chargers had control of it the entire first half. And, if you remember, Ladd McConkey returned an epic punt return for a touchdown right before half that got called back, that then ended up turning into points for the Commanders. Mm-hmm. And had that gone in the Chargers' way and not have that stupid roughing the punter, roughing the kicker penalty, it's 17-0 going into halftime.
Yeah,
I don't think they come back from that. There's a lot of penalties that game. I think the Chargers had 10 penalties, a couple turnovers. And
interception on the goal line. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And you know, you're not going to win games against a Dan Quinn team that way.
Yeah.
So, and Ben alluded to it. We got to play clean ball. We have to continue to win the turnover battle. We have to improve on our penalties. That's something he really was focusing on in the bye week. And we'll see. You know, we're getting some reinforcements back. A couple guys we're getting back we didn't have last year. Some key guys, especially in the defensive backfield. We didn't have Jaquan Brisker. We didn't have Kyler Gordon last year either. So I can't wait to see how Dennis Allen employs Spidey. I think he's going to be huge in this game, especially against the run. But also, you know, I expect him to get a blitz, get a sack on Jaden this week as well. But it's going to be a huge challenge. It's going to be a worthy primetime game early in the season. Hopefully it has that playoff vibe. You know how you can watch games in prime time or anytime. You're like, this is playoff caliber football. And it's, you know, middle of October. I hope we see that. And if we end up losing, I just hope that we look like we belong, you know, in the playoffs against a contender. But I think we do have a chance if we can play clean ball and continue to build off of what we've done so far. How about you? What are you thinking on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's real interesting because, you know, obviously Jaden got all the hype last year, deservedly so, the season he had, getting to the conference championship game.
Right.
But, you know, this year Caleb is basically beating him in almost every statistical category right now. You know, Jaden's played 3 games, Caleb's played 4 games. But, you know, you start to look at the averages and where they're at. Caleb's got a QBR of about 65, which is 12th in the league right now. Jaden QBR is 23rd in the league, 45.5. Passer rating, you look at that. Caleb's at a 97.8. Jaden's at a 93.2. Jaden's got 4 touchdown passes in 3 games, no interceptions. To Caleb in 4 games, 8 TDs, 2 interceptions. You know, so, and, you know, Caleb 62.3% in the completion versus, like I was saying, Jaden's been having accuracy issues. He's at a 59.2. So, I mean, unquestionably, Caleb, I think, is having the better year right now. You know, they played 1 more game. They're at 3-2 on an individual level. He's having the better year. But yeah, I feel pretty confident the offense is going to continue to grow. I still have the concerns, obviously, about the running game. You know, I think Jaden has taken 1 more sack than Caleb. Yeah, he's been sacked 8 times. Caleb 7. But Washington really got after the quarterback last week, you know, and we know there's some movement on our O-line. I guess from the practice reports I was seeing today, Theo Bennett is playing on the left side right now with the first team. And we don't really know if Darnell's going to play yet. We haven't got an official injury report. You know, Ozzie will probably step back in if not. But right now, Theo on the left side. So we got to protect the quarterback. Caleb's going to have to get the ball out quickly because they were really getting after it. They weren't shy about rushing Herbert last week. So I am a little worried about that. That's one of my concerns is, you know, protecting Caleb. But I think if he can get the ball out quickly, if Rome can get open, you know, we could have a good day. You mentioned the people coming back from injury. You know, we'll see what happens with Austin Booker. You know, he's our guy. We talk about Austin Booker on the show a lot. We got hopes for Austin Booker, obviously, as someone that can help with this pass rush. Grady Jarrett looks like him and Brisker, actually. You mentioned Brisker. Grady Jarrett and Brisker have been out of practice this week so far. We don't really know what Brisker's dealing with, I don't think. I haven't seen anything on what the injury is. Right. Find out more tomorrow. But, I mean, obviously that would hurt if we don't have him out there, but we are getting Kyler back. And, Brian, you've talked a lot on the show about how Kyler Gordon is so important, not just in the passing game, but also in stopping the run. He's one of those true threats in both the pass game for our defense and the running game. And, you know, with all the injuries we have with Jalen down, you know, he's traditionally that nickelback spot, but he can play on the outside if we need him to also. So worth following what happens with Brisker, Darnell, obviously. But you know, I feel like it's a winnable game. It's going to be a hostile environment, no question about it. I do think it's very winnable. I think if you can go in there, get this win, get on the right side of 500, come home. You got the Saints at home, a game you should win, and then we get this ball rolling, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely winnable game. We got to come correct though. I don't know if you've seen the post-bye records that we've had over the last 10 years or so. We've won like 1 or 2 games post-bye in the last 10 plus years. Granted, we've had different coaching staffs, and this is one that seems to be on his P's and Q's a little bit more. So I'm eager to see, all the changes you referenced with the offensive line, with some of the defensive backs coming back. And I anticipate Kyler playing in the slot this week, mostly because of that run support. So he's closer to the action. Also with the emergence of Tyreek, who I'm also really looking forward to. You mentioned he's been outspoken. He sounds really mature and humble, and open to discuss his vulnerable, even, his learning process through it all. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. I think he'll match up well. But winnable game, man. And I'm stoked to see Kyler back. But like I said, I think he'll be closer to the line. My main concern still is the defensive interior of the line. And their interior, they've got Tyler Biadasz at center. They're down one of their guards, Sam Cosmi. I think they have Allegretti back, though. They've got a strong interior O-line, and they create some space for their runners. And, like I was saying to some folks on Windy City Gridiron today, doesn't matter if TJ Edwards is back, Brisker's in, Kyler's in. If they're getting 4 or 5 yards pop before they even get touched, we're not going to have a chance. Those guys, we need our defensive tackles to step up. So hopefully Grady Jarrett's back healthy. Hopefully Billings is, up to snuff, and then Dexter can make some plays, because if they dominate the trenches, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, no question about it. We got some people in the chat here checking in. So Anthony saying statement game for Caleb to change the narrative around him versus Jaden. Absolutely. Daniel checking in. Happy Wednesday. Daniel's usually here with us most Wednesday nights. Yeah, no question, Anthony. Is Sweat alive? We'll find out. Facing off against his former team, you would think he would be motivated to have a really good night. We'll see. But, man, he goes missing. That is no question about it. And then Joe had pointed out, too, about the Chargers having those injuries on the O-line. So,
yeah, you're right. And their injuries were mostly at tackle. I think they were down to their third string left tackle, and they let up 2+ sacks to the ends against the Commanders. And I definitely think that threw off that game. I think the Chargers win handedly if they've got their whole offensive line. I don't think they had their center either. So absolutely right. But again, this might be Theo's first start ever. So how much better is a second-year UDFA than, who the Chargers had last week? I don't know. Hopefully Ben Johnson knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm with you though, man. I think it's going to be a huge statement game for Caleb. I think, like you said, as the season has gone on so far, he's already been looking better. Problem is the Commanders had a couple big wins already, and they have one more win than us. And we had that embarrassing first week of the season on prime time, embarrassing loss. Second week dominated by the Lions. So we've not looked good, when it mattered most so far, but this would go a long way. As far as Sweat is concerned, his best game last year that I remember was against the Commanders. And he's actually done well this season when it comes to his pressures. So I'm confident that especially with your boy Austin Booker coming back, man, if he can actually come back, which I believe he was, I know he was designated to return. I wrote a piece on that when it was announced. But I think the window is officially he's going to be active. We'll see. But getting some extra pressure in there, man. How sweet would that be if he comes in there and we can have it?
I really, really hope to see him, because, the way he was looking in preseason, my suggestion at training camp last year to my daughter is go get that man's autograph. He could be really good. I was feeling really good about that prediction, watching him in the preseason games at least. And we just need somebody else to, get after the quarterback, on that outside. So I'm really, really hoping we see him out there and see what he can do. I looked up the stats from last year's game against the Commanders. You are right. Montez Sweat had 4 tackles, 3 of them solo. He had a sack, 2 tackles for loss, 3 QB hits in that game last year.
Yeah, he's a monster.
Yeah. And, I don't think we need to talk much more about that game. We know Caleb didn't have a good night, but they still, he still put him in position to win at the end.
Right.
Like we talked about on the show last week, even in the games where he hasn't looked his best, he's got that clutch gene. He is a guy who can put you in position to win. We've seen him do it over and over in the just 2 years, not even 2 years, a year and a quarter who's been with this team. And we all know they should have won that game. They were a play away from going to 5-2, and so they lose that game and they're 4-3. So yeah, this really has the opportunity to be one of those games that we set the tone for a stretch where, we looked at it last week on the show, Brian. There's a lot of games coming up that on paper at least look pretty winnable. There's some things happening with some of these teams we're playing that makes it seem like, like at the beginning of the year, that Bengals game looked like it was going to be a really, really tough one. And now it looks like much more winnable, stuff like that happening where, God, we could really roll off some wins and put us in a good position when we get to that back stretch on the schedule where things get really, really difficult. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just overall, hopefully Jarrett gets out there to help solidify this run defense finally, with Kyler coming back, potentially with Booker out there, because they've got a good backfield. I mean, Washington relies kind of on three guys. You got McNichols back there, you got Rodriguez Jr. back there, and then last week, Krosky Merritt had his best game as a pro. 14 carries, 111 yards, average 7.9 a carry, 2 touchdowns. I mean, when I was watching that game, that made me worried because for 2 years now, we haven't been able to stop the run. So this is the game to prove it, for Dennis Allen to show that during this bye week, he's been able to fix the run defense, which hasn't looked great, Brian, so far.
Oh yeah, it's been our Achilles heel. Mm-hmm. So many people are clamoring for a blue chip edge prospect, whether it be free agency or the draft. Man, give me a Dexter Lawrence. I mean, I'll take even a Justin Jeffrey, or Jeffrey Simmons, rather. Sorry. Give me a stud defensive tackle right now because we need that stoutness up front. That is our Achilles heel. And if you can't get off the field on third down, which ironically enough, we're like one of the worst defensive teams from the advanced metrics standpoint in first down and second down defense. But on third down, we're elite. So it's kind of we have a weird season statistically so far. But yeah, our defensive front, we need to be able to stop the run, and they're going to pose some challenges. A lot of it has to do with Jaden Daniels opening some stuff up. I mean, he had 8 carries last week alone. He's got a similar average to Caleb this year. I think Caleb has like a 4.8. He has a 4.6, might be vice versa. Mm-hmm. But he's run more in his 3 games than Caleb has in all 4. So we gotta watch that. We've got some fast linebackers that can do that job. Again, having Kyler back is going to help. I think Sweat is really motivated to contain, but that's where this comes in. We need to put a helmet on him. We need to give him a good licking if he decides to go out there and run, which is really why I hope Jaquan Brisker's back, who's kind of one of our, if not our greatest enforcer on defense. He wasn't here last year against them, but we need to put some hats on them, make them feel it. But yeah, Krosky Merritt, he was one of my guys I shouted out early in the season as far as a rookie who I think is going to have a big year. And he looked like it last week for sure. So we're going to have our hands full. Glad we're getting some reinforcements back for that, though.
Yeah, no question about it. Yeah, and LA, the Chargers against them last week, they ran the ball all right. Like, we got to get this Bears run game going. Obviously, another thing we've talked about every single week on here. Herbert had some big runs against them when he scrambled. Watching Herbert do that, I'm thinking Caleb can do the same thing.
Oh yeah.
But their running backs too. I think the running backs average like right around 4 yards per carry or so against Washington. So there's gonna be opportunities to run the ball. And we'll see if Roschon finally emerges from the shadows, emerges from special teams, and actually gets some carries. But Swift's got to continue to prove it. And we'll see what happens there. Otherwise, we talked about on the show last week. You guys can check the archives, possibilities of some trades if we have to, but we're hopeful that we can get this thing going. I don't know what the deal is with Roschon Johnson. He's a guy who, in the times we've seen him run, he looks like he has something to me.
Yeah.
He always seems to move forward. He falls forward. He's the guy like between the tackles that seems to run the best, for what we've seen. Homer obviously is back off the injury report too. He's another guy you could throw in there. But man, I want to see Roschon get some carries in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't remember if he got any last year. I think he did, but obviously Swift took over. Swift had a dominating performance last year against them, and I'm looking forward to him doing something similar this year. But yeah, I think Ben Johnson is going to focus on getting this ground game going. A lot of people are out on DeAndre, but Ben even talked about it today. He said the run game is it's hard to really grade any of the running backs because of what they're running against, what they're seeing when they run. They're got a unblocked guy in their face almost every time. Mm-hmm. And whereas a guy like Roschon might take that guy on head on and fall forward for 2-3 yards, Swift is going to try to make something happen. And that doesn't always lead to good things. Usually, especially in this league, it ends up leading to worse things unless you're, Barry Sanders. And even then, I think he led the leagues, Barry did, in yards rushed that were negative more than anyone else. Problem was he did it so often, and he also turned it into 75-yard touchdown runs. But Swift is not that. But we got to shore some things up in the run game. And that's the one thing I'm excited about with Theo over on the left side is all of a sudden last week we could run the ball in that second half when Theo moved over to the left and Ozzie was on the right. Now, the real question is Darnell Wright going to be back? That's going to be a question mark. But either way, I think our run game takes a little step up this week. It's definitely going to need to, and I think it's going to be a focal point of Ben calling plays.
Yeah, the injury report tomorrow, the first official injury report of the week is pushed back since we're on Monday Night Football. I usually cover that on Windy City Gridiron. I'll have that out for you guys tomorrow. But tomorrow's actually a day off. They're not going to be on the practice fields. It's going to be an estimation. But just to see, what is going on with Jaquan Brisker and why wasn't he practicing? And, to see where TJ's at too and some of these other guys. But I looked at the box score last year. Swift had 18 carries for 129 yards, 7.2 average. Roschon had a couple of carries in the game, 2 carries for 6 yards. Caleb had 47 yards on the ground against Washington last year. So, man, if DeAndre Swift can get 129 yards on the ground in this game, Bears should win.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think so. Yeah, I'm really fascinated. Just again, game's going to come down to watch run game.
Yeah, Joe says game's going to come down to the Washington run game against our weak run defense versus Caleb's arm against Washington's weak secondary.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I also think we're going to have to slow them down a little bit on their offense, and that's going to be huge when it comes to Deebo Samuel. I kind of wonder if Dennis Allen ends up shadowing Deebo with Kyler. Because, Deebo's a guy that likes to move all around the formation. Mm-hmm. You need a DB that can move all around the formation and is used to it. That would be a really good play, in my opinion. They're similarly sized, both right around 6 foot. Deebo measured around 215. Kyler's, probably 205, 210, maybe even right at 200, depending on where he's at. But he's a big guy for a corner. And he's definitely a physical corner. But Deebo had 11 of the 23 targets that Jaden threw last week.
Yeah.
11. You take Terry McLaurin out there who did not practice today, and all of a sudden Deebo's their guy he's going to be peppering. So if we can shut that down, that might force him to pull it down and give our pass rush a little bit more time to get to him. And we'll see. But I think Deebo's going to be key for sure. And you know how they like to run him as well, although he didn't get any carries last week. They didn't need him to. But, it's going to be huge. But I agree. If we can stop the run, we have a really good chance.
Yeah. As far as like the defensive rankings, just looked up this. So run defense, Washington's 17th in the league right now. Your Chicago Bears 31st in the league in rushing defense.
Yep.
Passing defense, they're 23rd. We're 17. So yeah, a little more even there, but we have a better pass defense, at least by the numbers right now when it comes down to yards per game. So to Joe's point about their weak secondary. There you go. Do you want to make a pick on the air this week for this one?
Shoot. Yeah, I'll go. I mean, I definitely feel confident.
Okay.
All the reasons mentioned. We're coming back healthier than we've been. Ben Johnson's first post bye week got some elements of surprise. They're not all the way healthy. Jaden just came back last week. I don't think he was fully healthy. Terry's not healthy. They got some O-line injuries. And obviously we're not healthy either, but I think we win this one. Let's say we got 26-24.
Ooh.
I'm going to say. And Jake Moody with the game winner fourth quarter.
So you're thinking Cairo won't be playing this week?
Cairo.
Oh,
Cairo. Yeah, I don't think Cairo plays.
Yeah.
If I can read Ben Johnson, which I can't, but I'm getting a better feel for him as we learn more. But they held Cairo out. They're talking to him to see how he's going to be. They signed Jake Moody. I think they want to see what this young buck can do, see how he can perform, and if they can mold him into a reliable, contributor. So I think Jake Moody's going to be the one this week.
Oh man, if we're down by 1 point and Jake Moody's kicking that field goal to win the game, I am going to be a nervous wreck. I'm going to be texting you. Damn it, you jinxed it. He better make this. Oh God. Yeah, that'll be something if it comes down to that. I do think it's gonna be in the 20s. It's gonna be real close. I'll say Bears 27-24. We're pretty close to where you're at. I'll say 27-24. Last year it was it like 18-15 or something like that? Yeah, 18-15. So we'll see, man. It's going to be close. It's going to be a fun one to watch. I hate waiting through the whole weekend for Monday Night Football. Such a long wait. It's a little nice to have your Sunday though, with no stress. Ryan, sit back and watch a little Red Zone all day long. I might actually be going to the pumpkin patch with the family that day. I think.
Oh, fun!
Maybe early, get that out of the way. Get the pictures taken and all of that. Hopefully, it's a nice, cool day.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like the trade-off living on the East Coast for Monday nighters, because then my Tuesday mornings are rough no matter what. It's just harder to, we're getting too old to stay up too late. But it'll be fun to watch for sure. I'll crack open a pumpkin beer and open the window, let that 40 degree temperature in, and watch some autumnal football on the tube. But yeah, man, I think it's a winnable game. We'll see. I'm really excited to see how they bounce back. But I agree. I think their defensive backfield is. We just have so many weapons, right? We've got so many weapons. DJ was our number one all last year. He still looks like he could be, but then you have Rome who's stepping up. Olamide is looking legit, and he's, by the way, another revenge factor there. He played for them last season, so he's got a little bit of an extra pep in his step this week. And then we got Luther Burden, Colson Loveland, Cole Kmet, who's bouncing back hopefully, and that improved offensive line. So we better be able to match our output last year in Caleb's rookie season, and that bad performance with a new coach, new players around him, and all that. But I'm excited to see it, man.
Does Odunze keep his touchdown streak going? He's scored a touchdown in every game this year so far.
I think he does. They have Marshawn Lattimore. That's another guy they kind of swung for the fence, thinking they were close. I think Marshawn is very overrated, especially at this stage of his career. But he's a big body, so I anticipate Rome getting some matchups on him. I think Rome just toasts him, for sure. The guy in their defensive backfield that I have the most respect for is second-year pro Mike Sansra from Michigan. He's kind of their slot, jack of all trades weapon back there. Can play safety, can play cover corner, and he's a big play waiting to happen. He can move all over. So I think if Caleb can avoid him, then we should be in a good spot.
We should be getting Colson Loveland back this week too. Yeah, we know that he was dealing with the hip. From what I was reading, I think we'll see the injury report. Usually we have an injury report to go off of on these Wednesday shows, but I think he'll probably be back this week. And, our last game against the Raiders was Cole Kmet's probably his worst game as a pro. So as you said, looking to bounce back from that. But if he's not looking right, hopefully maybe you can plug in Colston. Yeah, I think Odunze gets in the end zone. I think that DJ has a big game. A couple of years ago, he had a huge game out there. I think it was a Thursday night game. Had like 4 touchdowns, I believe, from Fields in that game.
It was three.
Three or four. Yeah, three touchdowns. Man, he had a huge game. So, yeah, he's played well in that stadium before. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and in prime time. I think that was Thursday night.
Yeah.
Two things that I think are kind of under the radar this week. One is more joking. The other is somewhat serious. Eddie Goldman returns to face the Bears for one of the first times in a while. That guy still plays in the league, despite quitting and retiring on us. And he's actually getting some decent snaps with them. So I would love to run it down his face. And then the second one is Preston Smith, former Green Bay Packer, has returned to the team that drafted him, and he's now a situational pass rusher with the Commanders. And he's still got some juice himself. And he's just rounding back into form. I think they just signed him the week before last. So, they got some pieces over there, especially rushing the passer. So Caleb's going to have his hands full, and so will our tackles. But I like our chances.
Yeah, Von Miller, the aging phenom. He looked decent last week. He had a sack in the game last week for him too.
Yeah.
So like I said earlier, they get after the quarterback. They'll rush the quarterback. Caleb's going to have to be on his game to win this one, but I think he's going to continue to progress, and his seasons are just going to continue on the up and up. And hopefully we'll be here next week talking about a big win, because, man, if we have 3 wins in a row, Brian, we're just not going to know what to do with ourselves on this podcast.
One thing we do know is we're going to watch Ryan break open one of his fancy bottles of bourbon.
I did say that, didn't I?
You sure as hell did, my man. I'm looking forward to that. And I just might open my one last remaining bottle of my Polish Porter, my favorite beer. We'll see if we can get this win on Monday night. Depending on how convincing it is, some wins just kind of like feel icky. Although I don't know that that's possible for this one. But I'm just giving myself an easy out if I don't want to open my Porter up. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait for next week if that happens.
I said I'd open my bottle of Blanton's, or crack it open. It's already been open, but I'll be pouring the Blanton's in my Bears Were Bourbon glass next Wednesday night if we get the win, because I saved that one. That's a tough to find bourbon, man. I saved that for a special occasion, so yeah. We'll definitely be doing that. Bears Junkie in the chat. I think he probably meant 28-17, but he said 287.
The Bears
17. The Bears 287
to
negative. Or he said -17. My God. There we go.
No.
And then Joe, he asked us about bold predictions. I think we were kind of just getting into that, but he said his is Gordon gets a sack and the INT. I like the prediction of Kyler getting in the backfield with the sack.
Yeah.
He's good at getting after the quarterback.
I say sack, fumble, forced.
Ooh.
That Montez picks up, returns to the house.
Oh, my God. Yes. Whew, I love it. I'm getting chills thinking about it. Maybe that's because my basement's getting cold now. All right. Anything else you want to hit on the game, Brian, before we wrap it up? We thought this might be a little bit shorter show this week since we don't have a previous game to talk about, but anything else on your mind?
Gosh.
That's what I had on the agenda. I think we pretty much covered it, but
yeah, we did. I mean, we covered it. Do you think who do you think scores first touchdown? Let's go.
Well, I think we do. Last week the Chargers got off to a good start. Like I said, they're off 10. They're 10-0. That first drive, they look good with the scripted plays going right down the field. I'm going to say we do the same thing. I'm going to say we get a touchdown on the opening drive. But I think it'll tighten up really quickly and it'll be a back and forth game. What do you think?
Yeah, I think whoever gets the ball first is going to score first. So it's kind of coin flip right there. But I do think that we score first. I think we drive down the field with relative ease and then score on a Caleb bootleg on the play action. and bootleg action. And yeah, I think we'll ultimately pull it out. But I think Caleb gets the ball in the end zone first.
I'm gonna say Caleb scores running the ball in.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. Yeah, real quickly, you guys, I didn't mention it earlier, but we've been talking about this in the show every week. I'll just throw it in at the end here. There's a link in the description. Second City Gridiron merch, just another way to support what we're doing here on the channel with all the shows. Brian's got it right there. Let me make him full screen. There it is. The Bears Over Beers pint glass. You can get one of these. Join us every single Wednesday night by drinking out of this glass with us. Or if you like bourbon, gin, vodka, whatever, there is a Bears Over Bourbon rocks glass that is real nice that I also have. And we got hoodies, we got t-shirts. All the shows have hoodies, t-shirts, coffee mugs, all kinds of stuff, hats, all at really fair prices, high quality merch. Check it out at the link here in the broadcast description. Give it a browse. I mean, there's stuff from all of the shows. Bear and Balanced, Bill Zimmerman, which, by the way, I got to just throw a shout out. I just saw the show that Bill Zimmerman and our guy JB did with Gary Fenzik. Was awesome. Check it out. I really love that interview. Watched it last night. They've been doing a series. Bill has on the 85 Bears, and they've been getting different players on, and I really, really enjoyed that one. I guess Bill has a show out now with Joe Theismann, which I haven't heard yet. That is supposed to be really good. I'll be checking that one out tomorrow. And then, check out the rest of the people on the channel while you're here as well. Taylor Dowell's always doing great stuff. She's always got great looks at the players, player profiles. You're going to enjoy that. Bear and Balanced, I call it out. Mac and Reed, Dr. Mason West. You can check out Jacob Infante, our good friend, every single post show after the Bears go off the air live here on the channel. So make sure you join those post-game shows. They're a lot of fun. I was in the chat room. I was so hyped up last time after we got that win over the Raiders. Joined Jacob from the chat room, was watching him live.
Oh, nice.
Jacob's a personality. You guys will like the post-game show. So if you haven't checked that out yet, make sure you do. And then, as always, Brian and I will be back next Wednesday night. Win, loss, tie, whatever happens, we'll be drinking and talking Bears football with you. Cheers, Brian. It's been fun.
Cheers. You as well, my man.
Yes. All right. Go Bears, bear down. We'll see you guys in 7 days. Enjoy the game. Enjoy football. See you next time.